And I want to start it off with a question. Is there anyone here who can tell me what editors are referring to when they say the international audience? Because I have been struggling for some time to pin that down unsuccessfully. Last year, when Ethiopians went to vote in a referendum that would end up in the establishment of the country's 12th regional state, a big deal for us, I was told that this international audience was not interested unless there was some unrest involved. A few months down the road, when I was pitching stories on the conflict in Ethiopia's Amhara region, the same international audience whom I thought had a penchant for some unrest was, again, no longer interested. During this time when I was trying to pin this ever-elusive international audience, a lot was going on in Ethiopia. There was war in Ethiopia's Tigray region, conflicts in many other parts, and there was a serious uptick in misinformation and disinformation campaigns. A lot of people around me had kind of burned out consuming news, and there was also a lot of mistrust on news sources. Correspondingly, what happened is also serious media clampdowns. I found myself without a job for about a year because they withheld my accreditation. And during that time, I started doing media monitoring. And that gave me an idea. While I was going through all this news and trying to make sense out of it, what if I made it easier for other people so that they didn't have to do the same thing? And that's how I came up with the idea, or that's how I started doing Sifter. So Sifter is this newsletter on Ethiopia. The idea is, it's simple. Write the top 5 stories of the week under 10 minutes and send it out to subscribers every week. And I started testing this hypothesis about a year ago. I reached out to about 25 people that I knew and I said, hey, would you be interested in a curated summary of news on Ethiopia? And they were. So in this newsletter, I curate big stories of the week. Sometimes I'm critical. Most times I'm opinionated, but I'm always mindful of this audience who has its eyes and ears on Ethiopia. I started setting up polls, I started gauging responses and the interests of the audience, and people started reaching out to me, asking me for more information on certain updates or certain editions that I would write. And you know, these are people working in the Ethiopian media sector, people from government as well, people in the media development sector, people working in international organizations, including Ethiopian diaspora. When I started writing Sifter, I've been accused of trying so hard to sound like news. But throughout the past year, I've started to lean into the fact that I come from the community that I'm writing about, and that's the voice that I used to write when I compiled this newsletter, because at the end of the day, I'm not just a storyteller, the story is also about me. But through Sifter, I also get to write stories that do not make the international headlines. I once wrote an update on the harassment of women's rights activists at a local TV station. I also wrote about economic migration on Ethiopia, a perilous journey that over 100,000 Ethiopians make every year. And I was able to do and to write these stories that were relevant to Ethiopia and on Ethiopia without first having to justify it to this international audience that it was worthy of telling. As for the trajectory of Sifter, I know that open rates are tricky to rely on, but the open rate stands around 45% right now, and the response that I get from this community of over 620 people has been very reaffirming. A lot of people tell me that it makes their work so much more easier. Others tell me that it's helping them keep updated on Ethiopia when there's so much noise out there. And a few people have also told me it's helping them make sense of the jungle out there. Is it making money? Not yet. But I think the success of Sifter over the past year has been in testing this hypothesis, in building credibility, in building trust, and in building a relationship with this community that I aim to serve. And finally, about this international audience, to this day, I am unclear about what it likes or dislikes, but if the current trends are anything to go by, I don't think I have to worry about that for much longer. Thank you.